everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for July 20th. Or sorry, 21st. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Maggie. How you doing, Maggie?
Hey, Taran. Hey, everybody. I'm really good. I usually do Mondays. So I was like, oh, this will be such an easy day. It's the day before the eviction. What can change? What can happen? And then a lot happened. And I'm excited to break it all down with you. I think it's going to be fun. I just was not expecting it to be as big as of a day as it was, but it's fun.
Yes, we are here, of course, to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 24 live feeds. It was day 15 in the house, and this is one of those days. It's occasionally in a Big Brother season, you just get one of those days where just from start to finish, it's just packed with nonsense, drama, strategy, changing, shifting house dynamics. There's a lot to get through. You don't want to skip through this update. There's a lot in here.
Get some coffee, everybody. Get some coffee. If you don't drink coffee, get your water bottle. Get ready. My water bottle's full. I'm here, ready to go.
Yes. And really, we started the day with a conversation, or at least one of the first conversations of the day, that I was almost about going to tweet out, hey, everyone should really check out this this is a conversation worth checking out. And then the rest of the day was just also things that you should probably just watch because it was wild. If you have 6 hours to spare.
Okay. So listen, I said before we got on, I am somebody who goes to sleep at a normal time. I'm on the East Coast, so I go to sleep at a normal time. And when I do the updates, I wake up early and I watch back. Last night, I went to bed much earlier than I usually do. And so I set my alarm for 8 a.m. and I was rushing to try to get through everything that I missed. I was looking at timestamps, watching hours of thank goodness I have the thing on my computer that makes the videos go a little faster.
Yes,
so very I could get necessary. Through everything. But seriously, there were so many small, quick conversations. And also so many, again, like you said, it wasn't just strategy. It was drama that fed into strategy and relationship building. And, it's just a great day that we'll discuss.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. Of course, Jasmine is the HOH. Pooch and Taylor are on the block. Pooch is going home here tonight. None of that has changed, but obviously there's been a lot of other things going on. Monty and Kyle have been pushing for Pooch to stay, but they've all but sort of given up at this point for the most part. And there's also been some drama with Indy trying to work with the guys and the women being upset with her about that. And of course, Brittany has also very recently come under fire from the women. Now, the night before, they had really been digging in on Brittany. They caught her talking to Joseph, and they still remember that she threw Amira under the bus to Pooch. And so anytime she's talking to a man, they're like, what is she telling him? And so they have been Brittany bashing, if you want to use the alliteration. And the night before, Brittany had talked to Jasmine and denied telling Joseph anything and said that she would be voting Pooch out, and also cried about missing her husband, which Jasmine then complained about later. Well, we start the day with more of that complaining. Can you believe she misses her husband? Get over yourself.
Well, yeah, because Jasmine's having a great time. She's sitting in the HOH bed. Everybody's making her food. Everybody's coming to her. Everybody is, doing her, waiting on her hand and foot. So she doesn't have anything to miss. She's the queen of the house. Why would she miss anything from the real world,
Yeah. They want her gone. Bad. She's distracting Michael. She's causing Michael to be somebody that they can't work with in the game. And they don't like that. And you know what else? You know what she said? You know what they heard her say? She
Hmm.
said, back when I worked at the toy research company.
Dun, dun,
Used to work there.
dun.
She was a toy person, but is no longer a toy person. What is her real job? She's lying about her job.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we used an ounce of critical thinking and thought about the fact that she's literally leading hypnotherapy sessions for the house guests every night, that we could figure out what her real job is. But yeah, I think that never a good idea, I think, to come in lying about your job unless it's like a lying by omission, or because you slip up. You slip up like that and it doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think that if I were in the house and I saw Brittany leading these like meditation sessions, I would be like, okay, she's lying about being a toy researcher because she's really a yoga instructor. Like, I don't know why she would lie about that. Like, I would not go to hypnotherapists.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I think that, I'm not sure that hypnotherapist is like the most threatening thing in the world. Like, it's not cop, it's not actor. It's not like those are way more threatening. I think even lawyer is more threatening than hypnotherapist. I think
Honestly,
that
it
there's
might give her some respect in the house.
that's what I'm saying.
Nobody really respects her.
I think that it's a good talking point. Like if somebody was in the house with me and they were a hypnotherapist, I would be like, tell me everything because I don't know anything about this. Like I wanna know more. And I think that toy researcher, while quirky, doesn't give you the depth of conversation that would.
Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on with Brittany. It's only going to get worse from here. But we also, for Brittany, I mean, we also have a conversation between Taylor and Monty. It's a very long conversation. This is the one that I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening to this whole thing, and I was like, this is such a great conversation. People should be listening to this. Again, I would highly recommend, especially if you're a Taylor fan. You get to learn a lot more about Taylor through this conversation, and she's just great. You'll probably find that you have a lot in common with her because she's very interested in media and entertainment, and she likes reality shows, and she likes to dissect reality shows and think about like the different ways that race and gender can impact how you're portrayed on reality shows. And all kinds of interesting stuff. I was like, man, I can't wait to interview her because I feel like she'd be
Yeah.
great at
Yeah.
this.
She was talking about like she would be great on the podcast, just period, outside of an interview. I think that her perspectives would be so interesting. She was talking about how, there's all of these graphics that like visually display the amount of screen time of Black people on The Bachelor, and just like how all of that sort of culminated in her really wanting to participate in the show Big Brother. And I thought that it was fantastic. And this is what you have been saying for weeks now, 2 weeks. Monty should just talk to Taylor, like just talk to her. And then he would be infinitely less threatened by her if they just talk and made a connection. And what do you know? After this conversation, he leaves and goes to the bathroom where I think it's Daniel and Terrence. And he's like, I'm feeling a lot better about voting to keep Taylor. And it's like, duh.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have this long conversation, and they talk about all kinds of different things. And Monty is sort of like doing his usual sort of like self-awareness talk. But they do transition into game. And she mentions like, hey, I do think that there's been some unconscious bias in this house. And especially when it comes to her, where she hasn't really been given the space to be soft and gentle, because people kind of just assume that she's not. And Monty's like, well, to be fair, you have said some savage things. And she's like, yeah, and I take responsibility, for those things. I definitely have played a part in this. But I do think that, Others may be able to say similar things, and it's cute and jokey from them, but from me, it's, you know, aggressive or whatever, right? And it's like, yes, this is right on the nose, exactly what we've been talking about since the season started, basically. Great to see that she is aware of it to a degree, because, you know, for a long time it felt like she was just completely blaming herself for the entire situation. So again, like she's very much knows what she's talking about. Um, and so initially she is pretending to Monty that she thinks she's going home. But then he opens up and says, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think you're going home. And she's like, oh. And he's like, you knew about that? And she's like, huh. And
She's
so
like, perhaps.
yes, I may have had an inkling. And he goes on to apologize again for the Paloma situation. He says that he thinks that's kind of where their relationship went wrong. And he thinks that, you know, it's not like what you told me was fake. It was false, right? Like, I think I've come to learn that, like, you were telling me the truth. And he says that he is willing to keep Taylor around this week. He just would hope that she doesn't come after him next week. She says that she would not do that. Again, it's a good talk. There's a lot of back and forth. It's like an hour and a half, hour 45 total. So, you know, again, worth probably listening to. But yes, afterward, he tells Daniel and Terrence that he feels better about Taylor. He also tells Kyle and Michael the same thing. Feels better about Taylor staying. He feels like, based on their conversation, that Taylor would go after Turner next week. And so that's great. And that what that means is that the plan moving forward should just be everyone should put up Taylor and Turner for eviction next week. Easy house nominations, and even Taylor will go after Turner, and hopefully Turner will go after Taylor, and it'll all be nice and fine and dandy.
It's just like you're so close. And then and then they pivot back to, well, she'll just go up. It's like, but what if she was useful to you? Like, I don't understand why these people, you know, aside from someone like Michael, are not able to see the absolute value. Like, if you are able to pull Taylor in and get her on your side, you have the most valuable piece on the board, I think.
Yes.
And go ahead.
And Monty starts spreading this around as well. That because in the same way that he was spreading around last week, Indian Brittany noms or you know, whatever. This week he is in this portion of the day, because things are going to change. He starts spreading around Taylor and Turner, and most people are pretty okay with that for now. So that's kind of the new house agenda, according to Monty. So we also have Michael, Kyle, and Brittany. They had spoken the night before, or maybe it was the night before that, about potentially working together. They are going to reconvene again. Kyle talks a bit more with Brittany about like how they're on the outs and that they should work together. Just another sort of circling back. Hey, we should make something happen here. Wouldn't it be great if one of us won HOH? Keep an eye on Michael, Kyle, and Brittany as a potential group. And, you know, these seeds are important for, again, things that are going to happen later in the night. So then we have another thing that it's, again, more seeds being planted for later drama. But Daniel is going to tell Amira, Jasmine, and Terrence about the Oasis Alliance, which Amira already knew about and says so, but is news to Terrence and Jasmine, who are learning about the Oasis Alliance for the first time. This is going to be spreading throughout the house pretty rapidly through the day. And anybody that didn't know about it is going to find out about it. And then finally, the last person to not know about people knowing about it is going to find out about it. And that's going to be interesting. So
get ready. Buckle up.
Yes. But this group, which we've talked about how there's a group in the HOH that has been trying to circling around forming an alliance. It's Daniel, Amira, Nicole, Jasmine, Terrence, and Alyssa. Now, Terrence wasn't like always included in the talks, but ends up being included in what they eventually lock in. They were all waiting for Alyssa. Alyssa gets in, and they finally lock it in. They call it the Old School Alliance. And I'll say again, it's Nicole, Amira, Daniel, Alyssa, Jasmine, and Terrence. Basically, what this alliance is that when Nicole was approached about joining the Pose Pack, she said, I don't want to work with these guys. I want to work with Daniel. We need to replace the guys with Daniel. This is essentially that alliance, the one where they have replaced Michael, Kyle, and Monty in the Pose Pack with Terrence, Daniel, and Jasmine, which, to be fair, is a much better alliance consistency for many of the people in it.
For sure. For sure. And I think that this alliance would be super dangerous had the events later in the day. We'll get there, everybody. We'll get there. But there's a new alliance, Old School. They're going to run the house. Everyone's fully committed.
We hope you're okay with this name, Alyssa, because you're not old, but you're like an old soul. You vibe with us. Guess who said?
Old.
Can you guess who said that? You vibe with us. You're like an old soul.
Who do you think?
Of the 5 people,
Daniel,
that aren't Alyssa. Yeah.
What a shock. Yeah. Also, given the events of the rest of the day, for sure, Alyssa's such an old soul. She's just like the most mature person in the entire house, for sure.
I mean, right after being called an old soul and joining the Old School Alliance, she's not that old souls can't do this, but she starts like twerking and dancing all over the place in the HOH room.
I think that if somebody who was older was doing that, you would call them like young and fun.
Yes.
I don't think that like old soul is sitting back down and sipping coffee and being like, woohoo, I added sugar to my coffee today. It's crazy. What a great day,
Yeah. So that's happening there. After they go, dissipate, Alyssa, Amira, and Jasmine are talking. Jasmine's like, guys, we're in 2 alliances? What? Who are we going to prioritize? Girls? Old school? What are we doing? And Amira is like, oh, yeah. Well, 2 alliances. Woo, yes, definitely. Woo, man. But, I mean, girls is it was kind of old news, Jasmine. As we don't even, we don't mess around with Indy and Brittany anymore. So I feel like, old school all the way, right? Yeah.
Guess so. Amira, something that I've noticed about Amira, I'm sorry, I don't want to take too long to talk about things that aren't the events of the day since it's so action-packed, but something that I've noticed about Amira is she's a bad liar. And you can read everything she's thinking all over her face, all over her body language. And I deeply relate to that. I'm a terrible liar. You know what I'm thinking the second I walk into a room. And the thing is, because that's the case with her, she's a very commanding presence, which has drawn 90% of the house to her. 90% of the house wants to work with her because she's such a commanding presence. And she's also warm. But a lot of Big Brother gameplay relies on lying and concealing your true feelings. So I think that that's Amira's biggest downfall at the moment.
Speaking of, Brittany's going to talk with Michael and kind of explain the situation regarding Amira, that Amira, she has realized, is upset with her because she saw her talking with Joseph, and that there's just a lot of tension with Amira, and she says that Amira is just like somebody that they're going to have to watch out for. And she's telling this to Michael. Worth noting that Amira has also not been talking a lot with Michael lately because she's been focusing her efforts on Nicole and this Old School group and Jasmine, and has been wary of Michael because of his connection to Brittany, who she is very concerned about. And so Michael, I think, is pretty genuinely receptive to the idea of I am a little bit cautious of Amira at this time.
Yeah. And I think, the reason that she's cautious of Brittany is because of the Pooch ratting out situation. It's not a situation. I love Brittany. I feel for Brittany, but Brittany 1000% did this to herself. So she's scrambling right now and feeling very uneasy around Amira because Amira caught her ratting her out.
Yeah. So there's a whole situation continuing to involve Brittany here that it doesn't really amount to that much, but it does just kind of further sink Brittany for a little bit, and there's just a lot of drama surrounding it. So we'll quickly kind of run through these events. But basically, Pooch is still kind of on the campaign. He ends up talking with Brittany, and Turner's there, and they end up sort of like discussing the possibility of a new group, a new alliance. And Brittany's kind of like excited about it. And she suggests, like, what if we brought in like Daniel? Like, what if we did these things? And she's kind of like into this idea. She goes to Daniel and says, hey, Pooch approached me about making an alliance. What do you think? And Daniel's like, I don't think that's a very good idea. We're voting Pooch out. And she's like, oh, sure. But like, what if, I wonder, is there a way to like vote Pooch out and still salvage this thing, right? And like maybe pull in Turner and like make something work? And Daniel's like, yeah, let's think about that. And then he leaves and tells the women about it. And they're like, we knew it. She's trying to flip the vote. She's trying to keep Pooch around. We knew it. And so, oh man, we wonder if Michael's involved, because Michael was also included in that alliance and was mentioned as part of this thing. And they're like, oh, we got to confront Brittany about that. We got to talk to Brittany about this. We got to see if we can trust Michael. Like, what is going on here? And so Amira ends up confronting Brittany, finally asking her straight up, did you tell Pooch that I was coming for him in week 1? And Brittany's, oh, no, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. Definitely not. This guy's gotta go. I can't believe he would do that. I'm freaking out right now. I can't believe that he would even say something like that. This is basically exactly what I warned you about right after it happened. And Amira says,
I want him gone.
Yeah.
I want him gone.
He's gotta go. Amira says, I believe you. I believe you. She doesn't believe her. I believe you.
Yeah, Amira. Yeah, and she's saying it like this. I believe you. I believe you. Okay, I believe you. Like, arms folded as far away from her on the bed. Like, Brittany keeps moving closer to Amira, and Amira's like, interesting.
Yeah. She also asked Brittany if she's been approached for any side alliances, anything like that. And Brittany's like, no, nothing like that. I can't remember, not off the top of my head. And they talk about, okay, so once Pooch is gone, let's circle back. Now that we've cleared this up and we now trust each other, we can get back to working together just like old times. It'll be great.
Also, she had to like beg Amira to talk to her about this. She was like, can you give me anything? She's like, I'm sensing tension. And Amira's like, no tension. She's like, please tell me. Like, I know you're upset. Please talk to me. And that's when Amira was finally like, okay, did you say this? But it's not. It's very, very bad. It's not good at all.
Yes. Later in the night, Amira is going to tell Daniel and Jasmine about this conversation and that she does not believe Brittany at all when she says that she did not do any of these things. Daniel and Nicole also agree. They don't trust Brittany at all. They do, though, love Amira. They're both weirdly attracted to her, in their words.
Mm-hmm. And they both say to each other, hey, if you weren't in the house, I would make a final 2 with Amira. Okay.
She's like my alliance wife, I think is the implication, right?
Yeah. Sure. Again, though, like, that's what I'm saying. Amira is very warm. She draws people to her. People like being around her. But yeah, whatever.
Some crushes on Amira. Speaking of crushes.
She is beautiful.
True. Speaking of crushes, yesterday we talked about the Alyssa and Kyle showmance.
Hold on. Can I say before we begin, I didn't watch feeds, not yesterday, the day before. So I was listening to you and Aman, and while you were describing it out loud, I literally was like, oh, oh, this is sweet. This is actually like really sweet. And I know Aman was like, how old is she? Like, she's too old for this. And I was like, but everybody wants to feel like this. Everybody wants to feel like they're 14 again with the person that they're, crushing on. And then today happened.
Here's the problem with 14-year-olds.
Exactly. Literally, exactly. I was like, oh, but this is not what's happening. This is not, just like sweet, fun, giggly love. This is like mine, a stamp mine on my forehead.
Yes, those words were said.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle admitted his feelings for Alyssa to Amira the day before, and that got Amira brought it back to Alyssa. She was very excited about it. Now, I think there are a couple of things that that you may not be aware about at this time, because they were minor things, probably not worth bringing up at the time. But one thing worth bringing up is that Alyssa had, when she felt like Kyle wasn't super into her, been like, oh, I would never go for you outside of the house. Like, that was kind of her response, was to be like, oh no, but like, I'm gonna push you away. Additionally, maybe like a week ago, I think it was before the first eviction, maybe when Paloma was still in that, must have been when Paloma was still in the house. Jasmine was talking about her theory, common theory, one of my least favorites, her theory that men and women cannot be friends. It's impossible because every man that Jasmine has been friends with has fallen in love with her. And it just doesn't work. And most of the other people in the room were like, that's ridiculous, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Alyssa was like, no, I agree. I agree with you, Jasmine. I do not think that men, it's at least like single men and women, right? Like, it just doesn't work. And at the time I was like, oh, okay. But now.
Well, I also think that, well, one, clearly both of these women just watched When Harry Met Sally once and they were like, see? And then second, like, my question is, what type of men are you befriending? Are you befriending men who are very clearly romantically interested in you, and then you're friends with them, and then when they come on to you, you're like, oh, what? Or are you just like that? That would be my question, if this is a continuous problem for them. But yeah, no, that's completely ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life. And yeah, so what happens today, Taran, if you would like to take it away?
Yes. So I would say one more preface as well is that when Taylor was expressing her crush for Daniel, there had been a little bit of tension, and part of like the release for the tension there was that Alyssa was concerned that she was going to be going for Kyle, but then when she said she was going for Daniel, she was like, "Oh, that's great." So Alyssa overhears a conversation between Kyle and Taylor. They've just been hanging out and they're talking, and he's saying to her like, "Oh, you're America's sweetheart," and she's like, "Oh no, you're America's sweetheart," and Alyssa's not a fan. She's not into this. This is big time bad energy for Alyssa. It gives her a headache.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking back to, okay, so that conversation, they're friendly, sweet, perhaps maybe slightly flirty undertones, which is the exact undertone that Xavier had when he talked to anyone in the house last season, which is the exact undertone that so many people have with one another. Taylor has that when she talks to Monty. Like, there are so many, like, this is just the way people talk to one another in the Big Brother house, to disarm one another, especially when you don't have that strong of a relationship with them. Like, Kyle and Taylor are like friendly. So yeah, they're going to say like really quick little compliments to each other and then like giggle and be like, haha, because they do not talk outside of that. And that's the way for them to be like, yeah, this is good. Like, we're still friendly. Like, we still enjoy each other, and there's an opening for a relationship here. Like, that's what you do in the Big Brother house.
Yes, and quite honestly, that the like this is queued up now, right? Like Alyssa's kind of annoying. She's way more flirty with Pooch in this next conversation than Kyle is with almost anybody. But who cares? They're messing around. They're kind of like, because Pooch is a very flirty person. He flirts with anything that has eyeballs. And so do cameras have eyeballs? Because he flirts with the cameras. So they're messing around, and
anything that gives him attention.
Yes, there we go. With eyeballs. So it's he asks her what, like he goes, what's up with the so because as we've implied, Brittany gave another meditation session, right? And he goes to Alyssa. He's like, hey, what's going on with the women? Like after the meditation session, like they all came together again, and it felt like the energy was weird. And she tells the truth, says, oh, we were talking about Brittany because this whole Brittany situation. She's crying. She feels like the girls don't like her anymore, don't trust her. It's like a whole thing, nothing to do with you. And he's like, oh, okay. I just don't want this to become like a guys versus women kind of thing, right? Like, I don't want that to be the thing that's happening in the house. And she says, oh, well, I don't think the girls are a thing. Like, obviously everyone knows about the stupid Oasis alliance, but unfortunately, there is no close up on Pooch's face when this happens, but he is like, oh yeah. No, obviously that thing. Yeah, totally. And she's like, yeah, whoever told everyone about that alliance is pretty dumb, I think. And he's like, yeah, I don't think that's really a thing, just more of like a day one, like, oh, the guys should probably look out for each other kind of thing. Like, not like a big deal or anything. Remember, in Pooch's mind, Oasis is like the bomb squad of the season. Like,
yeah, it's the only alliance that he's in, and they are running the show, and they are in it and committed.
Yeah, and she just said, yeah, obviously everyone knows about this stupid Oasis alliance.
I can't believe she said that. I mean, it's fun. It cues up the rest of the night. Like, it's fun. Nobody else cares in the house. But I can't believe she said that. What is she doing?
Loose lips. Yes, on Alyssa here. He says, okay, well, should I? Now I'm concerned. Like, are people going to vote me out because they think there's like a guys thing called Oasis? And she's like, I don't think so, but maybe. He's like, well, should I like talk to Amira about this? She's like, yeah, probably. Okay. This cues up a whole turn of events here.
A meltdown.
Turner of events here.
Yeah.
Where Pooch is going to be running around. And it's like, there's so much of this. It's fun to watch. I'm not going to like run you through all of the detailed conversations that Pooch has because he's going home and none of them matter. But he's going to start running around. He's like, Kyle, they know about Oasis.
He's like, they know the name. She said the name.
How? Somebody must have spilled.
And
Kyle's
Daniel.
like, wasn't me. But Daniel doesn't know the name. How would Daniel do it? Yeah, he does. But no, I don't know. It's got to be. Could Monty? Could it? No. Joseph did it. That idiot. Oh my God. Can't believe this guy. He's so bad at this game. What is he thinking?
You mean the only other guy who's been campaigning for you the entire week? Only other guy who
the only one I can trust.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so bad at this game. He's terrible at this game. Pooch.
Well,
Poochie poo.
Joseph has been seen speaking with Brittany and Amira. So clearly, this guy screwed me. He screwed my Pooch. He does eventually get around to Amira, and he's like, I think Joseph has been talking about this Oasis thing. And Amira's like, I don't think Joseph said anything. I feel like he's like been the one guy that's really been like standing up for you. And he's like, what? That doesn't
Like
make
on
any
your
sense.
team. Mhm.
And he talks to Turner later, and he's like, Turner, like they know about Oasis. And Turner's like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, like do you have an idea of who might have said something? And Turner's like, I think I have an idea. And Pooch is like, all right, we'll both say our ideas. 1, 2, 3. Joseph! Oh my God, yes, it's Joseph!
Oh my. These boys. Clueless. Beyond
Yeah.
clueless. I mean, it was fun because you really watched him fully spin out. Like he spun out. I do wonder if we'll get a true blindside, like if somebody's gonna tell him before tomorrow. Like, what do you think, Taran? Will you get your blindside?
I don't think so, and we'll sort of probably explain why through the night here. But obviously now I mean, they eventually kind of get him to calm down a little bit, but he's definitely already very concerned, and we're soon going to get, Joseph is going to find out soon, and they plan to tell Turner soon as well, today on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So. I have to imagine it gets back to Pooch before the actual vote goes down, but we'll see.
Never count these boys out.
Oh boy.
On what they will and won't do,
Yes.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes. All right.
Sorry.
So never count these boys out.
Never count them out. Never count them out on what they will or won't do. That's what I was trying to say. I know for you, it probably seemed super dramatic, but I just sat here and waited for my little spinning thing to come back.
What it felt like was that the boys were like, how dare you? Don't count us out. We're going to hack your internet. All
yeah.
Right. In the meantime, Turner is talking to Daniel. Daniel is trying to, as he later describes it, subtly prepare Turner for Pooch to leave without actually telling him that Pooch is leaving. And in the process of doing that, Daniel tells Turner about how Taylor has a crush on him. He's like, yeah, she's like really into me, but like, obviously she has no chance. Like, I'm good. Like, you should see my resume. They're like laughing. Oh man, that's so funny. She has no chance with you, Daniel. Oh my God. And I'm just like, what world am I living in right
now? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure his resume has other Miss Michigans on it for sure. Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, no, you know what? Because I'm just going to repeat a story. Okay. And I'm going to let everybody read between the lines of my thoughts. Daniel's in the bathroom and he's doing his hair with the boys. And he's talking about how he really likes it when because his tendrils, he has tendrils. He's like, he really likes it when they like are greasy. So he puts like a lot of product in his hair and it's to make it look like greasy. And, he said that he doesn't like it. The girls that he dates always like don't want him to do that because they want to run their fingers through his hair and then their hands get gross.
Oh, are you done? Okay. I muted you there for a second.
Okay.
Well. So, no, they heard you. I just didn't.
Well, yeah, I wanted everybody to hear that so that they can think of that story and then reflect on Daniel and the way that he's speaking about Taylor. That's all.
So, we do have a quick conversation as well with Brittany and Terrence, and they briefly complain about Pooch, and then briefly talk about, hey, we should work together. We should do something here. Which, who knows? We'll see.
We'll see.
Worth noting.
Maybe one day.
Okay, so Jasmine, Alyssa, Amira, and Indy are up in the HOH room. Amira says, at this point, look, because they're talking about Taylor. Alyssa's talking about how Taylor's all over Kyle. And Amira's like, yeah, she's trying to make you jealous, Alyssa. She's trying to make you jealous. And Alyssa's like, well, fine. She can go then. Who cares? And Amira's like, yeah, you know what? I do agree. she says, I think at this point, we do need to take Taylor out next. And Jasmine's like, but she's a woman and not a man. So, but I thought we were going to be doing, the women thing. This is Jasmine. And Amira's like, yeah, but here's the thing. We need to take Taylor out next because we have to build trust back with the guys to show that we're not just going to take all of them out. So we'll take out Taylor next. And Alyssa's like, yeah. And that'll be the plan. And Jasmine's like, oh, okay. All right. Jasmine.
Is this when Alyssa tells the story of what she heard?
Yes.
And she didn't like it.
Yes.
Yeah. And
stamp on the forehead.
Yeah. And she's like, I want, like, he's mine. And Andy's like, I don't do that. Like, if a guy is flirting with another girl, I just get up and leave. And Alyssa's like, I never learned that lesson. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And then they all practice twerking.
Sure. Do you stick around for that, Taran?
Look, it sticks around. I change audio channels, not video channels. Okay. For some reason, they've decided that they all want to be really good at twerking by the end of the season. Which is like, in my opinion, it's like this is the worst idea because you just have tons of footage of you being really bad at twerking before you're finally good at it. So it's just a little embarrassing.
So are you going to do a twerk watch every
week? If I were to be like, look, by the end of the season, I'm going to be the best twerker podcaster out there. I would not document my journey on Twitch. I would do it privately. And then when I got good at it, I'd be like, look at my twerking.
I think you should do a twerk watch on the stock watch every week and let us know the progress that the women have made in their twerking. Like, are they closer? Are they getting worse? Have they taken a break? Like, I'm interested to hear what you've witnessed and the notes you've taken.
Though, the twerking is worth noting because the twerking happens when they're feeling good and confident about what just happened in the conversation, right? So it's like oftentimes this is a great way.
That's so funny. That is hilarious. That's actually the funniest thing that I've heard in a really long time. That they are like, we nailed it. Go twerk on a wall. Like, that's so funny.
That's exactly what happened.
That's the funniest shit I've heard in a really long time. Sorry, I shouldn't have sworn. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Now you realize why I wrote it down.
Oh my God. Well, why didn't you lead with that rather than just like, you're like randomly throwing in that they're twerking. So I was like, you're enjoying them twerking, I guess. I don't know why this is important.
Oh man. All right. So Alyssa and Indy leave. Amira and Jasmine talk. Amira fills Jasmine in on her conversation with Brittany. She says Brittany claimed she hadn't been approached with any side alliances, but then she talked to Michael, and Michael opened up and told her that he was approached about making an alliance with Brittany, Daniel, Kyle, and Pooch. And she asked Michael if Brittany was there when the alliance was proposed with him, and he said no. And so now she wants to ask Daniel, who told them about Brittany approaching him, if Michael and Brittany were together when this alliance was proposed, because if they were and he was lying, then they know they can't trust Michael. So that's kind of the plan here. She also plans to talk to Joseph about all this Pooch stuff because Pooch is running around saying that Joseph outed the Oasis Alliance, and she wants to finally tell him that Pooch is going to be leaving. She does later talk to Daniel, who does, in fact, confirm that Michael and Brittany were not together when the alliance talk happened. So they did not catch Michael out in this spot. But that does not mean that they trust Michael yet. If anything, this is still just a bad sign that they are looking for reasons, concrete evidence to justify their kind of distrust of Michael at this time.
I think Brittany is a really, really sweet girl who, if she remains in the house, will destroy Michael's chances. For Michael's sake, I know that you always say like an ally in the house is like, do not ever let them go. But like Brittany is an ally that is the most unreliable ally in the world. Like you never know what she's going to do. So I don't know if I agree. I know that you haven't said this about Brittany, but like on the overall theory, I'm not sure if I agree on it when it comes to Brittany.
I mean, I think that if I'm Michael in this spot, I'm just going to be sure to not be seen with Brittany too often,
Mm-hmm.
and not tell her much, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, and make sure that I'm still hanging out with the people I need to hang out with a lot. I think part of the problem is that because, Michael was with Brittany last week and he was saying like, oh, I like Brittany, but like, no, thank you. And he
Mm-hmm.
was with the group and they all trusted him. It was great. This week, especially over the last few days, he's been spending much more time with Brittany, much less time with the women, who have been all hanging out with Daniel and together up in the HOH room. Michael's not really up in that HOH room as often. And so just I think the distance and then his proximity to Brittany, the
Okay.
combination of the two is really harming him.
I'm wondering if there is a point, like, and what is that point when an ally becomes a liability? Because I am feeling like Brittany has already sort of passed that threshold for Michael. And with each bad decision she makes, she becomes more and more of a liability, you know?
Yeah, I would still say like I wouldn't win HOH and take her out on my HOH, right?
Yes, agree.
Or anything like
Yeah,
that. But yeah, I mean, there definitely comes a point where if they're going to target her, he can't like completely trash his game to protect her.
yeah.
And socially, again, you may need to distance yourself as much as possible, but it's definitely a tricky situation here. Speaking of tricky situations, Turner finds himself in one when he burns some cookies. It's not a good situation. He's
Turner's
burned.
there.
Yeah, he's there, and he burned Jasmine's cookies. He was supposed to keep an eye on those cookies in the oven. He did not. They burned. Jasmine got really upset. Other people got really upset. Nicole got really upset because she was like, hey, what's going on with this oven? Who was the last person to use this oven? Because the knob is not working. And if the knob is not working, then I cannot use this oven.
The only thing that I can think of when I think of Turner, so I did the slop, which if you're not a patron of Rob Has a Podcast, become a patron so that you can listen to the episode on Monday. I did the slop with Rob on Monday, and after the slop, the screen grab was going around of the bottom of Turner's feet. Did you see it?
Not the Turner. I saw the one of Jasmine's foot.
No, well, Jasmine has an injury.
Well, yeah, but also, yep.
I'm talking about the bottom of Turner's feet.
No, I can imagine.
And I haven't been the same since. I can't stop. Like, it's haunting me. And so whenever Turner's name is brought up, that's the only thing I can think of is that photo.
Are you just here to like bring us down? Is that what's happening here, Maggie?
I just am reporting.
Daniel's hair, Turner's feet.
I'm doing the journalism that needs to be brought to the update. You're talking about twerking, okay? I'm talking about hygiene.
Twerking is fun. All right? Hair and feet that are dirty, not fun. Okay. Well, all this is happening, but and you might say, wow, okay. New alliance, old school, Pooch finding out about Oasis being outed, running around, Brittany getting in trouble, new alliance is formed. Oh man, what a day. Taran, you were right. This was a lot. This was a long day. Man, glad I watched this update. But wait. There's more.
What?
Yes. Alyssa's going to talk to Kyle. She's been feeling upset about the Taylor thing. She would love for Taylor to leave soon. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. She says, okay, Kyle, need to tell you. So, earlier today, Daniel, Nicole, Amira, Jasmine, Terrence, they all formed an alliance called Old School. And then I came up and they brought me into it. So that's happening. He's like, wow, that's a big alliance. She's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. So do you think that Amira and Nicole are more loyal to that or to R6? And she says, I think R6 for Amira, at least. I don't know about Nicole. And he's like, yeah, I don't think Nicole is really into the 6. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so either. And then they get interrupted. And it kind of breaks up after that. She ends up leaving the room and, hey, my headache's gone. Yeah, I had a headache earlier, but now I'm fine.
It's too full of information that she needed to spell. But also, you missed also the part of it where she's saying to Kyle, like, why were you saying that to Taylor? Why were you talking with her like that and flirting with her? And Kyle literally is like, she could win next week. Like she could win HOH. Like, I'm playing Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a bad look.
Yes, he is going to talk about it later.
Yeah, and it's like a rat, like she's ratting them out, right? And like, so she's giving the rat floater game a bit, but only with the guy that this is not strategically sound. Like, I'm all for people ratting things out, but like maybe think on this a little bit more, you know?
Yes. So the Old School Alliance has lasted about roughly like 6 or 7 hours, maybe less. Monty, in the meantime, is going to go to Joseph because Pooch is still running around, and Monty tells Joseph, "Hey, I've been hearing that Pooch, he's kind of all over the place. He's kind of like I think he's got to go. All right, I think I've been hearing that Pooch has got to go. From who? From everyone, man. He's getting desperate. He's getting erratic." He's running around. He's saying that like Oasis has been ratted out. And Joseph is like, wait, hold on. So Taylor is gonna stay? Joseph has a few more of these conversations, especially with Amira.
It's like that sound effect that's like boing, boing, boing. He's like, what?
Yeah. He has a conversation with Amira, who basically tells him the same thing. Like, hey, people are talking about Pooch. People are thinking that Pooch may have to go. So Joseph basically now knows that Pooch is a goner. And he's still trying to campaign and pitch like, hey, no, we should keep Pooch around. But it's not going to land. So Joseph has been told, and again, there's discussion. Hey, should we tell Turner next? Let's wait until tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm. And this begins Joseph trying to figure out how this could have happened and how he can possibly salvage his own game.
Yes. So Joseph starts talking to people, and I'm sure there'll be more fallout today as Turner finds out and probably Pooch finds out, and Joseph tries to figure out where he fits. But don't worry, because we're finally going to see we're finally reaching the end of the night here, that Kyle's going to talk with Michael and Monty. And Monty is talking about how he really thinks the women are going to make sure a woman wins this year. And that's fine for them. But like, if I've got something to say about it, like, let's not let that happen. And Kyle tells them about the Old School Alliance, that Alyssa came to him and he said that Amira, Nicole, Terrence, Daniel, Jasmine, and herself were in an alliance called the Old School Alliance. And like, the question really stands, like, what is Amira up to? Where does Amira really stand in all of this. And they're wondering, like, should we approach Amira and say, hey, we've heard that Nicole is trying to make alliances, and just see how she reacts? Like, does she tell us about it, or does she hide it from us? What are we is like, that's kind of the approach they settle on when it comes to Amira, but they're definitely worried about her.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that. I think maybe they should just win and go after her and figure out how to build some capital, because they can get all of the information that they need about Amira if they are in power. So I think I think that the best thing to do is not upset her, not freak her out, or think that, they're onto her and she might need to retaliate. I think they should wait until the HOH happens, and then if she wins, maybe there's a way to rat out somebody else to her. Like, I think that they should just sit tight on this information until they can use it in a way that is helpful to them.
Certainly possible. I think there is some value to, like, if you catch on to a secret alliance early, just outing it to stop it from growing and solidifying, could have some value as well. The plan is for them to not reveal that they know about the alliance, just that they've heard some things and see what Amira does. But that might not even go into play because of information that Kyle drops in just a little bit. But first, he talks about, he says, look, so Amira's obviously Alyssa's obviously feeding, some information to me. We can use that. Obviously, Alyssa is not somebody that we would be looking at. But Kyle says to Michael and Monty, I'm scared of her. She was talking to me earlier. She was like really upset about me talking to Taylor. Like, I can't do this for 90 days. And Michael's like, oh, you're going to have to kiss her. He's like, no. I have to delay that as long as possible. That will only make it worse. Do not put that out there, Michael. I am not kissing her. But I mean, that is my dilemma. Like, let me tell you, like, I'm ready to go. But like, I can't go there. I really do like her. That's my thing. It's just like, oh my God.
What a problem.
I've seen a lot of sentiment that like because of Alyssa's behavior, that it's like that Michael or that Kyle like doesn't like her. Like, Kyle, he still likes her. He's still into this. Just he's putting game first. He does not want it to affect him. And I think he's also like, I think Kyle's at the point where like he likes Alyssa, and had this moment of like, she likes me, I like her. This is exciting. And now like a couple of red flags have come up. But he's not ready to give up on it yet. But he's definitely like, oh man, this is concerning. But I mean, but not yet.
And like, I just to tell somebody who you are not even like, you've never kissed, you've never talked about the fact that you liked each other, like nothing, and to be like, I didn't like that you were talking to this person. That is for sure a red flag about how the rest of the game's gonna go if she stays in this house. Like, that's even, a lot of people would consider that a red flag, even if they were in an actual relationship in the real world outside of the house. Like,
oh, very much so.
You know what I mean? So like the fact that like this is so early, they've known each other for 14 days and this is happening, like he should be concerned.
So Monty leaves briefly, and Michael and Kyle talk privately for a sec. And Michael tells Kyle about the alliance that Pooch proposed. He says, yeah, there's this whole thing, and we talked about this earlier. Remember, this is what got Brittany in trouble. This whole thing with like Brittany and Daniel and Pooch and Turner and me, and you were supposed to be in it too. And Kyle's like, wait, me? I'm in this alliance? He's like, yeah. Like, you didn't know about it? Pooch didn't tell you about it? Like, no. This guy's outside of his mind. What is he doing? It's ridiculous. And then
wait,
they go on.
Hold on. Did he say outside of his mind?
He
or
did
is that
say. He said outside of his mind.
Not out of his mind. I was like, wow. I wonder if he said that. That's an odd phrase. And then I was like, maybe Taran just said that. But what a fun outside of his mind.
Yeah, maybe he watched Big Brother Canada. 10, and he heard it when it was said about the other Kyle. He was like, really, I like that idea. I can't find it right now because I have way too many Big Brother Canada 10 clips. But this guy's outside of his mind, fam. From her
I
mom.
love it.
So Monty comes back in, and they say, okay, well, if Alyssa and Amira are still on board, we can still move forward with the Pose Pack Alliance. We just need to start communicating more. We just would probably need to cut out Nicole. Just got to deal with her. And then Michael leaves briefly, and Kyle and Monty have a private conversation where Monty says, okay, well, all right, let me just think about this. If this is happening, then maybe we need to start working Taylor more to see if we can get her to take some big shots for us over there. Maybe I need to sweet talk a little bit, right? Maybe work the showman's angle there too. All right, Monty.
Yeah, okay.
I guess Daniel's already got that one locked up.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so awful.
Kyle says, look, let me just tell you, we really need to be careful with Amira because she is really smart. Another thing that Alyssa told me today is that Amira told her that you approached Amira about a final 2. And Monty's like, oh, really? All right. I mean, let me tell you that is true. Early on, black woman, I was like, hey, let's get to the end together. I absolutely did that. But damn, that's frustrating. Oh, man. And Kyle says, yeah. And let me tell Alyssa clearly has a big mouth, so we cannot tell her things just because she's telling me all this. Who knows what she's telling anybody else? But just so you know, that's going on. So then Kyle leaves and Michael joins. And now it's a Michael and Monty private conversation. And Monty says, oh, man, I hope that Amira tells us about the old school alliance. But let me tell you, I don't think she's going to. And because if she doesn't, I think we might need to start swinging for the fences. And he says, let me just come clean to you about this. Because this is what Kyle was just telling me, that apparently Alyssa told him that Amira told Alyssa that I had a final 2 with her. And that is true. It was like a day one thing. He tells it to Michael. But what this means is I don't think we can trust Amira at all. I don't know if I don't think she's going to tell us about this. And like I said, if she doesn't, I think we need to start swinging for the fences, meaning targeting some big people over there. Michael says, yeah, you know what? I agree. I think we need to maybe start pulling in some other numbers. There are other people in the house that we can work with. And Monty's like, oh, you're right. And he's like maybe Brittany, maybe Taylor. And he's like, oh, that's what I was just telling Kyle, that maybe I can work on Taylor. Maybe we can pull her in. Maybe, hold on. Maybe it's not Turner that she needs to take out. Maybe it's one of these people in this old school alliance. There we go. And Michael says, yeah, those women, they have no intention of actually working with Taylor. They're just using her to take shots. And so if we actually work with her, maybe we can make something happen. And Michael even goes on to say, maybe if we're not taking shots at Turner, maybe Turner is an option. Joseph is an option. We can pull in Joseph, Turner, Taylor, Brittany. We've got options here. And so all of a sudden, we're really starting to, the whole house is shaking all over the place. It's going everywhere.
For the simple fact that it would completely break the house open if, Amira and Nicole are sitting up there next to each other. I'm ready. I'm ready for that. But I also think that there would be some difficulty. I think that there's intrigue if Monty and Kyle are up there next to each other. I think that there's intrigue. The only place where me, as somebody who's reporting on this, is bored is if it is Taylor and Brittany. I'm bored. So I'm ready for a big shakeup, whatever that is, because it's coming. Because all of these players, the best players in the house, are not as good as they think they are. So that's when mess happens everywhere. And
yeah,
I think that that's fun.
It is. It's interesting because, Poe's pack prior to Nicole joining was kind of poised to just run the table.
Mm-hmm.
But then Nicole joined and wanted to dismantle it. Successfully has mostly dismantled it and created an alternative majority with the first HOH and the second HOH and a really good setup for both her and her allies. Except this time the Nicole is Alyssa, who's not into this alliance and ratted it out to Kyle. And so now there's a counter to the counter alliance that may form with Kyle and Monty and Michael and bringing in the rest of the outsiders. And for Michael, it's interesting because obviously Michael has had no intention of working with all the guys. And this is starting to look like a mostly guys alliance. I doubt that Michael will want to stick with this group for that long. But obviously, knowing that the old school alliance was just created without him is worrying, and he will need to form a counter to it, only to then probably counter this counter as well at some point in the future. So
I love it. Alliance hop. Let's do it. Let's
Yes.
Rap Sister Nino it up. Let's create new alliances to fight off the old alliances.
We are in quite a situation here. And on top of everything, and this could be a good thing, but probably more likely a bad thing, they're about to be paired off into, BB besties tonight, I assume. And that could really influence where this goes in terms of how people are able to be targeted or who might be targeted. So we will see, but it's quite the exciting day here on the feeds, and this is definitely a very interesting house dynamic strategically.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think, and my favorite seasons of Big Brother are the ones where there's a big strategist and I get to watch them navigate. I loved 20, I loved 23, obviously. And so this is not shaping up to be the type of season that will always go on my favorites list, but this is a season with enough intrigue that I'm in it to see where it all goes. I don't think that it's going to end up being the people we hate running the table and making it to the end. I think that it's going to be very fluid. It's giving sort of Big Brother Canada 6 to me a bit, where nobody trusts one another. Everybody's willing to move back and forth. And I don't know. What do you think?
I think I agree with Comet Strider here in the chat. Maybe more of a BB Can 9 situation where it's just it looked like maybe there was a group to start and then it just kind of dissolves into a big mess, big puddle of mess. But I don't think it will continue to go along the Big Brother Canada 9 slot where basically one group does end up kind of winning out and then changing their minds a lot. I don't think we'll go there, but we will see. But it's an interesting position for this house, and it's definitely. I think the main thing here is that there are players in this game who are active and good at developing relationships and creating alliances, but very few of the people in this house. I did an alliance a while back. I refer to it a lot. An alliance. I did a podcast about alliance structure a while back that I refer to a lot. The dominant alliance structure is an onion alliance, right? Like a big alliance with some layers going down to the middle. That is also secret. Secret being the key that we learned all the way back from Danielle and Jason. The people in this house do not appreciate the value of secrecy in their alliances. They don't understand that secrecy is what makes alliances dominant and unstoppable. They think that if they get enough people together, then they can just overwhelm the other side with numbers or whatever, and it will be fine. They do not realize that the second it gets out, the rest of the house now knows they have to band together to fight them. And so what we're seeing is that every time an alliance comes together, they out themselves in one way or another, and then they get overtaken. And so it's just a constant shift here, and it's definitely interesting.
For sure. Having fun. I mean, it would be better if everybody was a bit more likable, but I actually think that helps a bit, like keep me detached from like having a rooting interest in like what I want to happen, and just being able to like look at it more as like, oh, this is interesting. What if they took the shot here and then everybody disperses? Like, I think that's helping me at least like emotionally detach from all of it.
All right. Well, we did also find out last night that the feeds should still be on this weekend.
Yay!
So they will go down for the eviction, but then at some point after the eviction tonight, they should come back up, I assume, with HOH results and possibly pairings as well. And then they will likely continue to be on through Sunday, when we will see the eviction episode and the Sunday episode together in 1 2-hour block. So live feed updates will continue as scheduled all the way through the weekend. And that's pretty much it. Everything going according to plan.
You and Puya will have a lot of work to do tonight with these pairs and trying to figure out what exactly the twist is. So Godspeed to both of you. Good luck.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to bring up, Maggie?
No, I think this is good.
All right. That's what we have for you. Make sure you find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, hanging out, playing games about kittens, playing, Goose Goose Duck, lying to people, watching these episodes live with all of you. I'll be live on Saturday to play the kitten game and to watch the challenge if you are interested in that. And you can, of course, find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Check out my YouTube channel where I'm dropping Among Us videos. They're very fun. And yeah, Maggie, what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm here chatting about Big Brother. I was on the slap on Monday. So if you're not a patron of RHAP Has a Podcast, you should become one and listen to that episode. It was so much fun. And I'm on Instagram at @MLMorgan_. And I'll be around the rest of the season talking about Big Brother.
All right. Well, that's what we've got. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.